Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about American Gods, Season 1, Episode 8. It is the season finale. It is called Come to Jesus. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. Bunnies. There's a lot of bunnies in this one.
Lots of them, and some squished ones too.
Squished ones. Part of me, I can't decide if I'm disappointed we didn't see the squishing. Because on the one hand, they're cute little bunnies, and I don't really want to see cute little bunnies die. On the other hand, if these were people, I would totally want to see them be squished.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But just watching Shadow's reaction was pretty great. Like him just staring over going, what the hell did you just do? And the way he just looks out the back like, wait, did you just crush all those bunnies? You did just crush all those bunnies, you dick.
It's an interesting show of force, actually, because obviously the rest of the episode, he's trying to, like, win over Easter. He's trying to, like, charm her and get her on his side. So it's an odd choice for him to just kind of run over her bunnies.
I think I get it. He's going, look, I'm going to come, I'm going to play nice, but just remember, this is what I'm capable of.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, think about it, though. If she becomes aware of the bunnies, the bunnies seem to talk to her. When she gets word, it's odd that that's the first thing he does, though.
Yeah.
It's the first interaction he potentially has with her. She doesn't actually seem to find out in the rest of the episode, admittedly, so maybe this is all moot and irrelevant. Yeah. But, yeah, so we opened with another Coming to America story, although it was a little bit different than normal, because we had Shadow and Wednesday in the scene itself, and the story was being told to them by Orlando Jones's character, I'm forgetting his name.
Mr. Nancy.
Mr. Nancy, there you go. He's making them suits. They're getting some fancy new suits tailored for them.
I love how the spider is the tailor. You know, he weaves the webs and he weaves the clothes.
Yeah, it's very, very good. Yeah, a lot of spiders at the start, actually. That kind of...
Yeah, if you don't like spiders, oof, tough shit.
I don't mean spiders.
I don't either, but I know some people are like, you know, when they see them on screen, it's like, nope, can't watch that.
I don't like them. I'm not one of these people who wants a spider as a pet.
No, but I don't dislike them.
If I see one, I'll probably just kill it.
I mean, it depends where it is. If it's just up on the wall, you know, in a corner doing its web stuff, I'll leave it. It's like, whatever. You eat those flies. But if it's down near my clothes, that's where it goes.
But I'm not scared of them.
No, neither.
Snakes, on the other hand.
See, snakes, I would have a pet.
No. Chop them up. Get your big cleaver out and chop those bastards up. Want none of it. None of it. So it was actually a story of Bilquis, which I actually really enjoyed this because I've been a little bit critical the last couple. I feel like the last couple have maybe not done much for me, whereas this one I did like. I do have to question that. I mean, I mentioned this I think last time or maybe the week before, that it was weird that we had her two scenes back to back. You know, episodes 1 and 2. Especially now, since we come back to her in the finale, I feel like the second one should have maybe been more in the middle, just to...
What's especially is I don't think we even needed a second one. I'm not sure how much we even needed one, honestly. I mean, because they introduce everything here. They go, you kind of get the idea, you know, that she's feeding on the orgy, and then she takes them individually.
That's fair.
I guess it's just to show the state of how she is now. Makes sense to me, but
I'm okay with one of them. I get the criticism that maybe we didn't need two scenes with her before now. I like one because it is kind of a mystery. It's sort of like, here's an interesting character. This is kind of weird, especially at the start of the show. If we didn't have the second one, it'd be like, oh, this kind of bookends because we've seen her in the first episode, and it also at the start it's like this because it's probably the most weird and sort of captivating image of the first episode is her swallowing someone up in her vagina. It's a big image, so I get why they wanted that there. So I'll defend having one of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the second one though. I don't think it was needed.
I kind of agree. I don't even if they wanted it, they wanted it. I don't even mind having it. I just think it was really weird that was in episode 2. Surely episode 4 or 5 in the middle would have been better suited to.
Yeah, I'd say 5. 4 was the Laura episode, right? So
yeah, right. Yeah.
So 5 would have seemed a good place for it to me.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's just on a sort of balancing scale that it was like 2 at the start and then we didn't see her again until the end. But yeah, it was a story of her and back when she was a ruler, and it was What I thought was interesting about her story of coming to America is that she, unlike the others, wasn't brought here by people. She kind of fled. She kind of came here of her own will.
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it?
Because her home was no longer really working for her. It was no longer suitable. Man had corrupted it, and man was being violent and greedy and all sorts. And also visually, this makes like a weird thing. I really like the 70s portion of this.
Do you know what is a weird complaint I'm going to have here? When it came up saying 1979, I think it was, I was like, I'm not sure I needed that. I got it was the 70s plenty.
Oh no, I loved it. Because
really?
Yeah, it was the font and it was.
I get the font.
It was nice. Because the 70s is not subtle. The 70s is very in your face. So it worked for me that it came up on the screen in giant numbering.
I get what you're saying, but just it was like the scene opens. You got the hair, the disco. It's like, all right, I get it. We're in the 70s. I don't need anything else.
Because obviously the BC one, whatever year that was, the first part, ancient times. That was just sort of like on the ground, and then obviously when it got to 2013, it was just on a shoe.
Yeah.
More subtle. I like the idea that the 70s was big and it's the afro. It goes with the afro.
Yeah, it does.
Nothing subtle. It's big and bold.
Nothing subtle about disco, is there?
There is nothing subtle. I just liked how that looked, how it was filmed. Because I think Brian Fuller's shows often, it reminds me of like Pushing Daisies had this as well. Was whenever he's shooting outside, it was at the Easter house. The mansion, where everything's so vivid, it almost looks like fake. It's almost CG looking because everything's so bright and colourful.
All the colours are turned up to like 11, aren't they?
But this 70s section, I really liked the look of it because the music obviously was working, and Orlando Jones he's got a really smooth voice that kind of he almost looks like a radio DJ the way he's talking and describing things.
It works perfectly.
But it was all the little lens flares off the disco ball and everything. I don't know, it looked good.
It did.
It looked good. But she comes, and we see, much like a lot of the other sort of gods and sort of other mythical beings, that she's kind of forgotten over time, and she's basically a homeless person in present day. And it's actually a technical boy who shows up and basically makes the offer of, here's the new way you can have power, which is basically a Tinder app. And...
Do you know what I loved about that? It made her a queen again. The app was called Sheba, and I don't know if you caught this, but if the place where she was a ruler of before, she was the Queen of Sheba.
I did not notice that. I did. Obviously, she's in the news.
I'm not sure if that was in this, but it was something that I knew anyway. So I was like, okay, I get it. And then when it came up and said that, I was like, she's the Queen of Sheba again. It's nice.
Nah, because she's right at her lowest point because she sees on the news like they're tearing down her old temple and whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like recognizing it, and she's like obviously upset about it. And this obviously just sort of going later on in the episode. Technical boy comes and sees her again. He's calling in a favour, as it were, because she owes him. And we see that she's on her way to Wisconsin. So I feel like he's probably going to use her to go after Shadow.
Yeah, probably. I'll thinking about it now, I'll defend at least one of those earlier scenes as having a good purpose. The first one we saw, she met the guy through a phone app, but so this shows that she was dependent on this technology. Like what the technical boy gave her did allow her to continue existing. We saw that later on.
That's fair. It's also arguably the first introduction of technology as this tool, as this power in and of itself. Plus, as I say, just it's kind of a big bold scene to kind of get people invested in the first episode.
I mean, beyond just that.
Yeah. If I do have any complaints about it, I really like the opening, and I like that they're setting up with her to be used after probably Shadow, I imagine. I do. The small criticism I have this one just as a stupid little thing that isn't really important, but we see her at the start and she's on the plane and she like sort of talks the guy into going to the bathroom, because she's hungry, I guess. And at the end we see her do the same thing on the bus, and all I could think was, on a plane you get away with the whole let's go to the bathroom and have sex thing because a plane's really big, there's a lot more people, it's right. On a bus I feel like it's really obvious.
Depends how big the bus is. I mean, a big bus.
It wasn't that big a bus, it was a coach. It was a regular coach.
I mean,
that doesn't.
I think it's just the point that people don't care. No one pays attention to what anyone else is doing.
I'm
No,
pretty
no
observant. I would have noticed that.
Would you though?
Two people on the coach getting up and going to the bathroom at the
Right,
same
right,
time.
right. But this is it. But would you, or would you have been looking at your iPad reading a comic?
Look, until we're in the situation, you cannot prove that I wouldn't notice this.
Can't prove it. I can strongly speculate.
Can't prove shit. But my one sort of more legitimate criticism is that it felt like it was setting stuff up for this episode.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, come back next season.
Yeah, it felt like a weird cliffhanger to leave on. Which is kind of, if I have a complaint about the episode, it is kind of like all season we've been talking about going to Wisconsin for this meeting. All season.
Yeah, we're still not there.
And we're still not there. We're waiting until next year for that.
Yeah, I was convinced this episode was going to be that meeting, but
yeah, because after the opening, Coming to America story, it's like, oh, we're in Wisconsin. He's like, no, that's our next stop. We're going to see someone else. So I was like, okay, we'll have a scene here, doing whatever he's doing.
But we'll have a whole episode here.
Yeah, that ended up in the rest of the episode, and we've not got there yet. So,
but I did like the episode.
So
it is kind of strange structurally as the season to end it here.
I think the structure of the whole season has been really weird. That's been my biggest complaint, I think, as we've been talking about it, is the weird structure and some of the pacing. Because there's things I legitimately really like about this episode. I like that finally Shadow is just kind of like, all right, so we're surrounded by gods, and he just kind of he's aware of that now, and he's acknowledging it, and it's none of this just dopey-eyed looking around. Oh, what's going on?
Yeah, a little bit of a shock at all the Jesuses, but that's fair enough.
I thought the first Jesus, when he walked in front of the light and it like sort of made like a little light halo around his head, I legitimately laughed out loud at that.
Yeah.
That was pretty
got
funny.
Me good.
And also, I think I still don't like Laura that much, but I think this is the most likable I've found her, is when she got angry and said, "Which god was it?" When Sweeney first admits that a god killed her. When she first finds that out, and she just walks forward and says, "Which god?" I was like, "All right, okay." I'm kind of interested in her being pissed about this now. This is a bit more interesting than what she's had going so far. So it makes
her more sympathetic immediately, because you go, not all of this was entirely her fault. So this was done to her to some extent.
Aye, she's still a moody cow, but
yeah. It doesn't fix that, but
yeah.
But the circumstances that led to Shadow being in prison and led to her death, all of that was not actually her fault. It wasn't something that she did to herself anymore. It was something that was done to her.
Oh well, she still wanted to do the heist because she was bored with life.
Right.
So I'm still blaming her for some of it. Like, sure.
For some of it, I mean, it doesn't fix all of it, but it makes her a little bit more sympathetic.
A criminal isn't innocent because they go, well, I would have gotten away with it if they hadn't interfered.
Yeah, but it's a casino. No one cares about casinos. No one was getting hurt at a casino.
Shut up. Everyone gets hurt at a casino. Hello. Every time we talk about casino, I'm going to think of that.
I'm so glad, that the first Laura episode where it opened in the casino. I'm so glad we hadn't seen that yet, because you would not have shut up all episode.
Hello. Oh my god, I love Twin Peaks so much. Anyway, but no, and also, I mean, as much as it was a kind of a weird place to finish here this season, it did kind of, it at least had that confrontation where they said, all right, okay, war is declared. We're getting into season 2 with, okay, we're actually at war. And obviously big things happened. Easter basically convinced by Wednesday to kind of stick with the old gods. Because I thought it was quite interesting how, especially when media mentions that Saint Nick got the same deal, where his actual holiday became kind of morphed into the Christian idea of it, where, because Easter, she's actually got a spring or whatever. This was before Easter, before the idea of the resurrection and all the rest of it. It was just about spring, and it was about all that kind of idea, and it's been adapted into what we think of as Easter. And
I love how they go a step further as well, though, because they go, yeah, but even there, no one really thinks about it as religious holiday anymore. They just think
chocolate,
chocolate, eggs.
Well,
and
that's the thing.
Enough.
When they first arrive, the whole thing, everyone's eating like just various, cakes and candy and things. It's all that kind of stuff. But Wednesday's obviously trying to convince us throughout the episode that no, you can have it the way it used to be, where you were actually worshipped and you were actually prayed to, as opposed to just
you, not for this image that you happen to use.
Yeah, so I like that idea. I like the idea that Saint Nick accepted. Yeah, okay, I'm Santa Claus now. It's fine. If that's what gives me power, I'll accept it.
Gotta do what you gotta do to survive.
But yeah, so she's prompted, and when it becomes a show of force, after he finally admits his name's Odin to Shadow, and he strikes down the faceless, very creepy looking faceless sort of.
I love those dudes, and with the music and the way they were walking and the way everyone was talking, it almost felt like it was going to be like a musical number. I don't know if you felt that.
Yeah, it had this offbeat kind of start of a dance sequence thing going for
it. It was like at any minute I was like, are they going to burst into song? Like, they never quite got to it, but it always felt like it was right on the edge of it.
Yeah, and then Crispin Glover kind of like glitching onto the face to like sort of deliver a message was pretty cool. If I have any complaints about this whole thing, and I like most of it quite a lot actually, my only real complaint would be the actual lightning strike. I thought was edited a little bit weird.
Yeah, I was a little bit confused as to where everyone was when it landed.
Yeah, the way it cut into it, it felt like a really abrupt cut into it, and it felt like the pacing of the cut was off a little bit, and it took me out of the moment for a second. But that would be it. That's really all I've got to complain about with that scene. And yeah, so Shadow's like, well, yeah, I believe stuff now because I just saw you straight lightning, and then of course Easter basically takes away spring, and we see all the grass and trees and all the
just decimates all of it.
Yeah, all the vegetation just all goes away, and we're left in what looks like a post-apocalyptic wasteland because there's no vegetation anymore.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that to go to war, they're essentially holding the public to ransom. With this, like they're like, look, we want to go to war to get rid of these new gods, but byproduct, you're not getting spring.
Yeah, well, that's what he says. Yeah, they can have spring back when they pray for it.
Yeah.
Really, really simple idea. So no, I thought this episode did a good job of putting down the gauntlet, as it were, and actually, for the first time in a few episodes, I feel like things actually advanced a little bit. I think for a few episodes, I feel like nothing had advanced, but we're still kind of in this pattern of Shadow being all sort of doe-eyed, like, oh, what's going on? I don't quite understand. What's happening? Whereas here, it feels like things have actually advanced. We've actually drawn the battle lines, and maybe going into season 2, we can expect things to progress a bit more.
Yeah, I like it because now we've had the moment where Shadow has stepped up and gone, yeah, I believe in this, so he can take a more active role, perhaps, going forward.
I'd hope so, because that was probably one of the biggest problems with this season.
Yeah, he's kind of just been a spectator in general. Like he's just stood on the side. He's never actually done anything other than made it snow.
Yeah, there's a lot of things, because even the fact that Laura comes out at the end and finally sees him again and says, I want to talk to my husband, she never actually brings up that Mr. Wednesday killed her.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is it a little bit weird that everyone else is calling him Wednesday? Because he took that name because it was Wednesday, right? When he spoke to Shadow.
Well, I mean, Wednesday is named after him, so.
Oh, sure. So
I think that's why he used that name, because it's like, oh, that's my day.
It struck me as weird though when media called him that, when everyone else knows his actual name. It was weird.
Sure, but they do it with everyone, like Mr. Nancy.
Okay.
Like he's, they've all got their actual names, but they have a public name. So I think is the way to put it.
All right, it just struck me as weird. I think it's because they're hiding it. They've been hiding it all season.
Yeah, I will say it was a little bit. Obviously, even as someone who knew his identity from the start, it was strange that this felt like it was supposed to be the reveal, but they kind of did the reveal to anyone who didn't know, like 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, when they made their sales pitch to him and it had Odin written on the rocket.
Yeah,
and montage. Yeah.
Did Shadow not see that?
I think he did, but he wasn't ready to believe that there was gods yet.
Sure, but did he not see the name? Like, because he had no idea really at all. It seemed
overwhelmed.
But I thought it was a little strange as an audience. If this was supposed to be the big reveal, I feel like they took the wind out of the sails a little bit with having that there a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah, I agree. It was a little bit strange. Prize-winning moment was perhaps Laura holding Sweeney up by his balls. Halfway up a wall. That was quite amusing.
I do enjoy those two as a pairing.
Yeah, Easter was going to resurrect her, but can't because she was killed by a god, of course. So, and she does say, "Oh, you can't be brought back, not by my hand," which does imply other people could possibly bring her back. So,
yeah, I'd assume only Wednesday can, seeing as he killed her.
Yeah, it was his choice to kill her. Yeah,
that would be my assumption. His intervention that caused it, so only he can undo it.
Yeah, and maybe Shadow will make a bargain with him when he finds out what's happened.
Yeah, that could be it.
I don't know, possibly. But no, I thought it was a solid episode. It was a couple of plot threads left standing at the end that felt a little bit weird to leave standing at the end of, because it really felt like some stuff was being set up for this episode, or throughout the season was being set up for this season. Because it's not like the Wisconsin thing felt like the end of the story by any means. It felt like the start of the actual battle, if you will.
Yeah. Getting to Wisconsin feels like that's the first achievement. So it really felt like that's what it was building to for the end of this season.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, no, that'll probably be the start of next season. Kick that season off with that.
I'll be halfway through.
It probably will be now. I've said that, yeah.
Yeah, at this point, I'm expecting not to get to Wisconsin until almost the season finale of season 2.
Yeah, it has been a strange season in terms of pacing, and I've said before the book is strange paced. It is very much slow journey, just watch along. I think that works in a book where you can just read the next chapter whenever you want at your leisure, and finish the book.
Plus, you have the whole thing. It's a finished.
Exactly, you have it all, and again, this isn't even a complaint. Obviously, if you watch this in a few years when it's all finished and you just binge the whole thing, it probably won't be a factor at that point. But here, as a season, as what was the story of this season, it was just declaring war, really. That was all it kind of got to. It didn't feel like it had a goal for the season that it hit.
Yeah. But no, we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, it's going to be a year now, at least, maybe more. Given how cable seems to keep kind of just being over a year, so because they keep pushing their shows back a little bit further each year.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I will say I'm glad that the next season is 10 episodes. I feel like it could really use those extra 2 to help with its pacing. Like I feel like that this could have done with another 1 or 2 here just to, kick it over the line.
Yeah, because we said the last episode should have been maybe a little bit sooner before the end. So if you had another 2, that'd be okay, and then you'd have maybe one after this that actually got us to Wisconsin.
The problem is I don't know what you could actually get rid of, because there was a lot of stuff to set up in this first season. I'm not sure what you could have got rid of that much to get rid of an entire episode or more.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I said last week that I think you could easily cut 5 to 10 minutes from each episode, so that all adds up.
No, it's true. 5 to 10 minutes from each episode. You're right.
That kind of adds up. Like, I don't necessarily think the story from last week, the essay story, could have been just the opening 10 minutes that the others had, but I think that maybe could have been shortened down a little bit and actually been like a recurring flashback in an episode that still had advancement with the main plot, maybe, kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know.
I do think 10 should work much better.
With a bit of luck.
As long as they don't, go, oh, we've got more, so we've got more time to kill.
Oh, yeah. If it ends up feeling...
That's the danger.
Yeah, if they end up going, oh, we can pad it out a bit more.
Yeah, that is the danger. But if they go, no, okay, we can tell the same paced story, just we can get a bit more of it in, I think that'll be better.
Yeah, so... No, that is the American Gods season finale. Let us know what you think of the episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff helps us out. You can also help us out, of course, by over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. See some of the bonuses over there if you want to support the channel. Get us on Twitter at mail_fuzz for channel updates. Individual Twitters are on the screen, but that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?